Mara found him 2 streets later because apparently God had given some women the power to locate irritation by scent. Dagon was sitting beneath a wall with one knee up, eating the bread he had not stolen and feeling badly treated by the difference. "You walk fast for a man going nowhere," she said. He did not look up. "You follow quietly for a woman carrying judgment. Judgment is louder, this is water." She set a small jar beside his foot. He stared at it. "If I drink that, will you tell me a story about sheep?" "No." "Good. I might tell you one about goats." He picked up the jar and drank before the smile could betray him. The water was cool enough to be suspicious. "Where did you get this?" "Oh well, that is not an answer. It is where water lives before men take credit for carrying it." He lowered the jar. "You talk like him sometimes," meant as accusation. It did not land that way. Mara sat beside him with enough space between them for propriety and not enough for indifference. She had wrapped bread in a cloth and tied the cloth with the kind of knot that could survive panic. "No," she said. "He talks like things are simpler than we make them. I talk like things are harder than men admit. Both annoying. Often true things are." They sat with the wall at their backs and the city moving around them. Evening had begun to enter the streets without asking permission. Lamps appeared one by one in doorways, each small flame making the shadows more honest. Somewhere a woman called a child's name 3 times, the first call ordinary, the second worried, the third edged with threat. A mule complained with the full sorrow of its kind. The stone of the wall behind Dagon's back held the day's heat the way old men hold a grudge. The lane smelled of bread from the oven 2 doors down and of laundry water running downhill toward the cistern grate at the corner. Dagon liked cities less when they softened. Hard cities were easier. Gates, taxmen, soldiers, crowds, marks, exits. Soft cities made you notice people lived in them. Mara untied the bread. "I ate," he said. "I saw. Then why bring more? Because seeing a man eat once does not mean he is fed." He hated that, not the words. The accuracy. "You collect hungry men?" "No, hungry men are common. I collect useful ones. I am useful now. Sometimes by accident. That is the highest praise I have received today. It should worry you that it may be deserved." He took the bread because refusing would require explaining why acceptance felt dangerous, and he had used up too much honesty for one evening already. They ate, not together. That would be too clean a word. They ate in the same small piece of shade while pretending the food belonged to separate worlds. Dagon chewed quickly because road habits are not undone by a table and a sheep story. Mara chewed as if eating were a task that deserved completion, not surrender. "Why did you leave?" she asked. "The door was available. Before that, before the door, before he finished." Dagon looked down the street. "I heard enough." "No." "You heard too much." He tapped crumbs from his fingers. "You always do this? Feed people? Name things, only when people keep hiding behind the wrong ones." He laughed once. "You think you are very brave for someone who keeps lamps alive, and you think knives are brave because they are sharp." That landed near something. His hand did not move to the knife this time. Progress maybe, or exhaustion. "Knives are honest," he said. "No, knives are simple." Men mistake simple for honest because it asks less of them. He wanted to say something cruel, not because she deserved it, because she was standing too close to the old place inside him where cruelty kept watch. A sharp word could make her step back. A sharper one could make her leave. He had learned many ways to return a room to safety by damaging it first. Instead he said, "You should go home." Mara folded the cloth over the remaining bread. "I am going." "Good, you are carrying this." She put the bundle in his lap. He stared at it as if it had insulted him. "To where?" "A house. Most bundles go to houses eventually. This one goes to Dinah. She did not come to the table because her cough was bad and her pride was worse." "I do not know Dinah. You know roads. That is becoming less useful than people think." "No, it is becoming useful to people other than you." There it was, the trap. Not the kind with ropes or soldiers. Worse. The kind where someone told you the thing you were good at did not have to remain loyal to your worst self. Dagon lifted the bundle. "If I carry this, you stop talking." "No, for 1 street." She considered. Half, cruel woman, useful man. He stood because sitting had become defeat. They moved through the street together, which is not the same as walking together. Walking together implies agreement. This was more like 2 arguments choosing the same direction. Mara knew the city differently than he did. Dagon knew which alleys bent away from patrols, which dogs could be crossed by confidence, which men leaning near doors were bored and which were placed there. Mara knew which doorway held grief, which house had borrowed oil and not returned the jar, which courtyard would hide a stranger if the right auntie approved, which child carried messages better than grown men because no one listened properly to children. Between them, the city became less dangerous. This annoyed him more than danger. At the third turn, a small boy carrying a clay pot too large for him stopped in the middle of the lane to rest his arms. Dagon was about to step around him. Mara was already kneeling. She steadied the pot with 2 fingers without taking it from the boy, said something soft to him that Dagon did not catch, then nodded as if the boy had answered well and rose. The boy lifted the pot more carefully and went on. Dagon realized after they had gone another 20 paces that he had not seen the pot. He had seen the boy and the danger of the spill. Mara had seen the pot and the boy at once. That, he thought, was why she ate after a man like him. Left, he said. Right is shorter. Left is quieter. Right has Miriam's courtyard. Left has no men watching the turn. Right has a woman who owes me a favor. What kind? The useful kind. He stopped, she stopped too. 1 step later, they looked at each other, then both said left at the same time. Mara frowned. Dagon smiled before he could stop himself. Do not look pleased, she said. I never do. You look like a fox that found theology in a henhouse. I do not know what that means. Neither does the fox. He laughed. It escaped him, not a large laugh, nothing humiliating, but enough that a woman drawing water near a doorway looked over, and Dagon remembered laughter could expose a man almost as badly as theft. He stopped. Mara did not comment, kind of her, or strategic. With Mara, the two were rarely enemies. Dinah's house sat behind a courtyard that smelled of wet stone and old smoke. Mara knocked with 2 fingers, then entered before anyone answered. Rude, Dagon whispered. Trusted, she said. Similar posture. Inside, the room was small and hot. The air smelled of warm wool lamp soot, the metallic dampness that hangs around a sick body, and the dry herb a neighbor had burned in the corner 3 evenings ago and never finished. There was a single lamp on a clay shelf set above a basin, and the lamp had been trimmed by someone whose hands shook a little, because the flame had a small jag near the base of the wick, where the wick had been cut unevenly. Dinah lay on a mat with her eyes closed, coughing the kind of cough that sounded like the body trying to remember an older injury. A little girl sat near her with a cup of water she had not been able to make Dinah drink. The girl had been sitting there long enough that the bowl had developed a thin skin of dust across its surface. Mara changed when she crossed the threshold, not softer, clearer. On the street, she carried herself like a woman who expected resistance and had packed answers. In the room, she became the answer before anyone asked. Bread set where the child could reach it, water lifted, cloth folded, lamp adjusted, hand on Dinah's shoulder, not hovering, not fussing, just present. Dagon stood near the door with the bundle empty in his hands and felt useless in a room that knew exactly what usefulness was. The little girl stared at him, children again, always seeing. Are you a thief? She asked. Dinah opened one eye. Mara did not turn around, which meant she was smiling. Dagon looked at the girl, then at the empty cloth, then at the door. Not with bread, he said. The girl considered this as if it were a serious professional distinction. With what? Time, Mara said before he could answer. Dagon looked at her. She kept her eyes on Dinah. He steals time, Mara said. From death, mostly, badly, but he is learning. Ridiculous. It was also the closest thing to a blessing anyone had ever thrown at him, like an insult. Dinah coughed until the cough became laughter and the laughter became cough again. The little girl smiled with all her teeth, and one of the teeth in the front was missing where the new tooth had not yet pushed through, and the gap made her smile look braver than the rest of her body knew how to be. Dagon looked at Mara's back and felt something in him step closer to a door he had not agreed to enter. He did not love her then. He would tell himself that for a long time. An empty bread cloth in his hands, a sick woman laughing. A girl asking if he was a thief. Mara keeping the lamp alive without once asking the room to thank her for the light.